A year back, Jacob and Rebecca decided to relocate to a new town. Jacob had been offered a promotion that came with the move, and the idea of living somewhere warmer sounded like a welcome change. Although it meant leaving their familiar world behind, including close friends, they saw it as an opportunity to start over. Rebecca had to search for work again, but soon found a steady office position in the heart of the city. It didn't take long for her to connect with people, especially Chloe, a longtime employee who seemed to know every corner of the company. At first, Chloe wasn't particularly open, but as time passed, the two began chatting more, even outside the workplace. Rebecca found her quirky and endearing. Chloe, in her mid-30s and single, had a history of awkwardness around men. Her anxious energy often led to strange or unexpected comments, typically scaring off any potential second date. Though she'd had a few short-lived romances, they had always been more casual for the men involved than they were for her. One evening over dinner, Rebecca told Jacob that Chloe had been ghosted again and wanted to meet at a cafe to talk. A cafe? Jacob questioned, slightly skeptical. You sure it's not a bar? I don't really know, Rebecca said gently. But Chloe doesn't drink, at least not this time, she added, recalling the last time Chloe had shown up heartbroken and tipsy. The next day, Rebecca went to meet her friend, unaware that Chloe hadn't been entirely honest. There hadn't been a breakup. Instead, Chloe had signed up for a speed dating event and felt too nervous to attend alone. When Rebecca arrived and saw the setup, tables arranged in a circle, music playing, and a host preparing to start the event, she realized what was happening. You brought me to speed dating? She asked, stunned. Please don't be upset, Chloe pleaded. I just needed someone there with me. You don't have to participate, just keep me company. Unfortunately, the event didn't allow spectators, and since one woman had canceled last minute, they invited Rebecca to fill the empty seat to keep things balanced. Not wanting to disrupt everything, she reluctantly agreed, telling herself she'd just explain to each man that she was married. No harm done. As the rounds began, Rebecca stuck to her plan. Most men backed off the moment they saw her wedding ring. Some younger ones made inappropriate jokes, but she mostly sat through each session quietly, waiting for the evening to end. Meanwhile, she noticed Chloe fumbling her way through introductions, clearly overwhelmed. Near the end of the night, one last man approached Rebecca's table, tall, confident, likely in his 40s. He smiled warmly and leaned in. I noticed you when you came in, he said smoothly. Don't worry, I saw the ring. We're just talking. His name was Ethan, and according to him, he was married too. He claimed his wife had no issue with him attending these events, saying it helped with networking for his restaurant venture. Many of the attendees, he said, were juggling complicated personal lives, and speed dating helped him connect quickly with potential collaborators. Though their time together was short, something about him stuck with Rebecca. He was intelligent, polished, and undeniably attractive, enough to stir emotions she hadn't felt in a while. As their minute ended, Ethan slid a business card across the table and suggested they grab coffee the next day to talk about his project. That night, when she got home, Jacob casually asked how things went. Rebecca offered only a vague response, deciding not to mention the nature of the event. She hadn't technically done anything wrong, at least that's how she justified it. Still, she found herself strangely distracted, the business card tucked away in her purse but occupying her thoughts. Over the following week, Rebecca became more withdrawn. She spent more time out with Chloe after work, taking long walks and meeting for drinks or coffee. Jacob noticed the change. He found it odd how close the two women had suddenly become, but he chose not to push. That changed one day when he spotted Chloe hand in hand with a man at the park. She looked happy, far from the tearful mess Rebecca had described. That evening, Jacob casually brought her up. So how's Chloe doing? He asked. Same old, Rebecca replied with a sigh. She cried on my shoulder for hours. That set off alarms in Jacob's mind. Something didn't add up. A few days later, when Rebecca claimed she was meeting Chloe again, Jacob left work early and parked near her office. He waited. Soon he saw her exit the building and walk toward a car parked nearby. She climbed in. A man behind the wheel leaned over to kiss her and handed her a bouquet of roses. Jacob's heart pounded in disbelief. His hands clenched the steering wheel, but he restrained himself from reacting immediately. Instead, he followed them in his car, trailing them quietly until they reached a hotel. That was enough. Jacob pulled up beside them, stormed out of his vehicle, and marched up. Fury exploded inside him. He struck Rebecca across the face before turning to the man and landing a punch that knocked him back. "You liar," he spat. "Hand me your keys. You're done." Shaken and caught off guard, Rebecca dug into her purse and handed him the house keys. She opened her mouth to speak, but he raised his hand, stopping her mid-sentence. He also noticed the other man's wedding ring. Without another word, Jacob turned and walked away. Back home, he began tossing Rebecca's things into garbage bags. As he cleared her side of the closet, a small card fell from one of her dresses. It was Ethan's business card, the same one she had kept after the speed dating night. His curiosity piqued. Jacob looked up the name online. There it was, Ethan's professional profile and photo. Now he had a face to focus his anger on. What Jacob did next was precise. He located Ethan's wife and told her everything. She was blindsided, clearly unaware of her husband's so-called networking. How she chose to deal with Ethan afterward was her business, but Jacob's actions didn't stop there. As fate would have it, Ethan's wife happened to be friends with Rebecca's boss. In a matter of days, Rebecca lost her job. Because she had been working unofficially, the company refused to issue her final paycheck. With no income, no home, and no Chloe, who had already moved in with her new partner, Rebecca found herself utterly alone. Each choice, each lie, each spark she chose to chase led her to this point. Abandoned and filled with regret.